Hello, and welcome to the Revenge of the Party Nerds podcast, coming to you live from an undisclosed location high in the Hollywoodland Hills. I'm Richard Gabai with my pal,
Robert Carradine.
the legendary Robert Carradine. You got the party nerd and the revenge nerd, and very excited and happy to have my good buddy joining us all the way from Athens, Greece right now. The legendary, handsome, charming, and funny Brian Krause. Brian, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing great, Robert, Richard. It's so great to see you guys, and thanks for having me on. This is amazing. From around the world to connect with you too is just it's a blessing.
It is.
Far out, man.
What took you to Greece? Are you just on vacation, or?
I was here for Athens Comic-Con. They are a growing show. This is their 5th year. Andreas is the promoter of it, and he's an amazing human, and they're really growing. You know, Greece has gone through so much, and they're kind of going through a renaissance here. So it was amazing to be a part of that. It's just amazing.
Lots of screaming fans, I imagine. Everywhere you go.
It's amazing. Robert, Richard, both of you must know, you know, we do what we do, and sometimes we don't get the reaction on set, of course, and to travel and be as lucky as we are to actually see and meet the people that are appreciating our work is the true gift of what we do. So the fan reaction is just unexpected and beautiful, and I'm just so grateful. It's amazing that something I did so long ago still resonates with people today, and I have no words for this.
Yeah, there's just gratitude, and it's funny because speaking of Comic-Cons, we ran into each other at a Comic-Con about a year ago, and my son Raphael was traveling with me because our band was the Czechs, Richard Gabai and the Czechs, that Bobby plays lead guitar in. We were doing the after party, and I was also, you know, doing the booth thing and meeting fans and friends. And I was sitting with Raphael at the bar at the airport on our way to Albuquerque, and I was like, and I'm really excited. You're going to meet my buddy Brian Krause. He was in my Amish film, which we'll talk about later. And we're sitting at the bar, and what frickin' comes on the TV above the bar is you in Charmed, like they're doing a marathon. I was like, literally as I said it, it's like the hand of God. I'm like, Raphael, you know this guy Brian Krause, big TV star. You saw him in my Amish film, but he's just a great guy. I look up, there you are. I was like, him. That's the guy you're going to meet in about 3 hours. A good buddy of mine. So it's really, when you're on an iconic show like that, it just never ceases to amaze, and it's forever. But you started long before that, even though you're still a very young man. So what was your, you know, sort of intro to the business? How did that all get going? When did, you know, Match Point and American Summer? Like, how did this all? I want the Brian Krause story. So.
Well, Bobby, it started with you, Revenge of the Nerds. I was in high school, and
yeah.
it gave me motivation that it's kind of like my show, and maybe we have this in common, that it's okay to be different and be yourself, and still you can do what you want to do. And I think, if anything, that is what that movie gave to me. It's okay to be the outsider. It's okay to be strangely confident and still get the girl and still do the thing. And that's something that I got from that movie that actually helped me in high school. And that helped me as I was in drama class and whatever, going, you know what? I'm a nerd. And you know what? Nerds are fucking cool. And I'm going to get the girl and I'm going to do the thing. And so that led to me, you know, forgoing my little pretend to be an athlete and really pursue my life in film and television and really go for it.
Well, I'm so
and
happy
I have to say,
that worked out for you.
It's so true. Revenge of the Nerds really changed my life as far as giving me hope as being an outsider. And I think that's also what Charmed is about. eventually years later, that it's okay to be different, and this is what our show's about, and still be yourself and have family, and family is what you make it. But that led to me, I worked in a hotel in Newport Beach. I did construction. I did whatever I could do to audition, and this led to a McDonald's commercial, to a couple of lines on the Angelian show, Highway to Heaven, these sort of things in the late '80s, which led to the movies a week, and then I finally got a little break and Return to the Blue Lagoon, and then
Right. Wait, stop right there. I mean, Return to the Blue Lagoon.
Yeah, let's talk about the Blue Lagoon.
The Blue Lagoon. So, I mean, look at that kid. Wow.
Oh, man.
Oh, man.
Wait, let's just take a moment.
Yeah.
Let's take a long moment and just look at that. I mean, Brian, I looked at you for the first split second, then my eyes shifted to the left. They did shift back to you, but seriously, kidding aside, the original Blue Lagoon, of course, iconic. It was one of those things everyone was talking about. And then when the sequel comes up, it was kind of the same, So how was that for you, stepping into that role? And I mean, I'm just curious, I would love to, know what it was like walking onto that set. First of all, getting the job. How did that happen?
I'll tell you, when as a young actor, I was 21 at the time. I had a handful of things behind me, a guest spot, a movie of the week. I got my SAG card, but you're just pushing. And this movie came along, and actually Frank Price, who was the president of Columbia at the time, he put everything in on this movie to save his position as the president. And it was way too big a budget at the time in 1990 at 25 million or whatever they were. And but he hung his hat on it, and he believed that the 1990s version was going to do the same thing. And it's kind of like remakes of the today. I don't know that the script was ready, but they wanted to push forward and make it. Anyway, they had a nationwide search. I happened to look like Christopher Atkins, which helped, and that helped me get into the final calls. And I think when I went there, I just, I grew up on the beach in Southern California, and that kind of helped my attitude a little bit, because I was, all-American, blonde-looking, whatever, Christopher Atkins looking, and it came down to a few of us, and I just tried to play it, it was the first time I was really able to kind of not just be a character, if you will, that imagine trying to play a character that doesn't know what a microwave is, that doesn't know what a TV is, that, just kind of young and dumb, kind of as I was growing up. So it's a very easy fit. But when I got it, I'll never forget, I went to my father's office, and he was a 30-year career man, and I took him this contract, and I showed him the numbers, and he was like, oh, I worked my whole life for something like this. And I was like, well, should I do it? And we didn't get a lawyer or anything, and we just kind of went forward. And, for me, this is my dream, to start a feature film. So I didn't care what it was about. And to go to Fiji for 3 months in 1990,
with Mila
it changed my life.
Bobby, say that again.
Mila Jovovich,
yeah,
who's become such a star and is such a powerhouse today, and she's so intelligent and talented, and she was a young woman at this point, and we were both so green, and Billy Graham, and who directed it. I mean, I learned so much, and I tell you, I just listened to the camera department. They told me how to stand still and let the camera come to me, and just be. And it was probably one of the greatest experiences I've had as far as education and as a actor and education as a human. That I mean, it's beyond belief. And even though the movie didn't do well, it's something that, as an experience, I will never ever be regretful that I did.
Yeah, and didn't do well, that's kind of a relative term, It's also a movie, though, that everyone still knows and everyone still will talk about. I mean, I would imagine when you're making appearances, personal appearances, or when you audition or when you work with other filmmakers, they're like, everyone's seen it.
I tell you what, the funny thing,
Everyone has
I'm
seen
here in Greece for this Comic-Con, and we're here with a charmed cast, but half the people came up to me and they're like, Return to the Blue Lagoon is my favorite movie ever. And I'm like, okay, so you're the people that saw this.
Well, I mean, with
the
all
500,000 people in the world that saw it, they're all here in Greece.
No, everyone saw it, because I mean, but maybe it's a little weird now. They're like, but Brian, I want to take a photo with you, but would you take off your shirt?
Well, it's the same body. It just it doesn't quite look the same.
Yeah, but you're in great shape. You're one of those guys who is instantly recognizable. Now we've been pals for, 10 whatever years now, and you know.
At least.
Yeah, when you're back in town, we'll go back to my brother's sushi and figure out what the hell is next.
The best.
After you did that movie though, like, was there, you kind of told us about what it was like to be on set, but I mean, was it like you wrapped that movie and it hasn't come out yet? I've never been, I've been blessed to work steadily, thank God, for 35 years, but never, like you said, this giant film. You're somewhere for 3 months. You come back to LA after that shoot, and then, like, what's up? Did it change the game?
Oh man, so if you've never been to Fiji, I highly suggest it. We were able and allowed access to go to parts of Taveuni, which is their third largest island. It's their garden island, and it was very private back when we were there, and we were allowed access to these private villages. And I got to meet people that lived off the land and swam in the ocean, and they literally had a little village where they shared the same shirt. They lived on dirt. They had tin roofs, and they were the happiest people I ever met in my life. And that was probably the greatest lesson I got, that it doesn't matter about money. They had a village, they had togetherness, they had a community. Mm-hmm. And so here we are with all the millions of dollars in the world, and we're not happy. And here these people are with nothing, living in dirt, the happiest people on the planet. So when I got back to Los Angeles, I was I questioned Hollywood. I questioned the capitalistic ideology of it all, and I kind of went into my little hippie phase, if you will, and I kind of didn't want to do it anymore. And this is the movie hadn't come out. It's gonna come out. I was really worried, I suppose, about everybody knowing who I am, and I haven't found love yet. I haven't found happiness in my life yet, and wondering if everybody in the world's, if it's going to be possible to find love again if everybody knows who I am. And maybe that was a little too great a thinking, but it was kind of what I was going through at the time. So I kind of went into my shell. I went back to Orange County. I hung out with my family, my friends, and just kind of hid from Hollywood for a while. I was turning things down. I didn't want to audition. I didn't want to do it anymore. And then when it came out, I thought I was the shit. And then, humbled once again, right, immediately. It was a big transition as a young man to go through such a thing at such a young age.
Yeah, I'm sure. But that's this business, though, right? It builds you up. It knocks you down if you let it, and sometimes you can't help but let it, because, it's a tough business. Look what's going to happen to us in a few years. No, but all
Well-
kidding aside, but you pulled through. You pulled through.
on.
You pulled through. We're allowed to give each other a little grief on this thing. You know, you pulled through, and then you kind of have never, ever stopped working. So, but in between, you know, Blue Lagoon and then the big hit, right? Were you just did you go back to just being the working actor? And by the
Well, I tell you, I went from that year, then the very next year I did the Stephen King movie called Sleepwalkers, and I was the star of it. And that was my ultimate dream, is to star in a feature film, studio movie. And it happened. And at 22 years old, I had accomplished my goal. And I became goalless. And I think if there's anything to say to your listeners is, you know, without a goal, we float through life. And, you know, that's what happened to me after that, is I had no more goals. I did it. And so I kind of fell out. And there were a few really rough years without an idea in my head of what I wanted to do and be. So next thing you know, I'm doing construction. I'm wondering if I should go back to college. Like, you know, is this for me? What should I do? What am I? And that was probably the next 2-3 years of a little bit of struggle, honestly.
But after,
and I had to face myself and ask myself what I wanted to do, and, you know, where am I going, and what am I qualified to do? And I kind of realized that this is what I always wanted to do, and I needed to recommit myself and make new goals. And that led to, I did movies of the week, Smokey and the Bandit, that led to some soap opera work for a few months, that led to Charmed. And my life was changed forever.
right. So I'm just curious, because I'm learning.
It wasn't without making that decision of, this is what I want to do.
Got it, because you know, I'm learning things about you I didn't know. So, which is really fun and interesting. I really appreciate it. Like, so during that time, right, you had done all this work and you started in Sleepwalkers, which, you know, was a pretty big movie. And when you're doing construction and all that stuff, like did you need the money, or were you like kind of fine but just kind of journeying? Like what?
No, I needed the money. You know, I was a brand new actor when I did Blue Lagoon and Sleepwalkers, so I was paid, you know, probably the lowest amount on the set.
Right.
Not that they took advantage of me, but, you know, here's a 21-year-old guy with 20 grand in the bank in 1990.
Right.
I went through it pretty quick.
Got it.
And then same with the next movie. It just, you know,
even in Sleepwalkers, that was not like a big paycheck. It was just, you're making, of the jobs we get.
For the time, it was good.
Right, while you're working.
I was like, I'm buying.
Right. Exactly. So yeah, like
I took care of all my friends who were in college, right? So I kind of burned through it, and then I found myself in a place where, yeah, I needed to work.
Right. So it wasn't just like
I needed
this
money.
It wasn't just this, like, you know, I'm on this, you know, journey. Now I wanted to. You were strapping to survive, you know. And you are,
and this is probably the biggest thing about most people who think, you know, us actors just fall into millions, is it's not true. And
correct.
You know, you get paid well, and it's going to support you for a few months, and if you're savvy, maybe you can make it last. But this is also not true.
Right. But,
you know, you got to keep paying the rent, doing the thing, getting some extra money, go to classes, whatever it is. And if you're a bit unsavvy, as I was, or like to have fun, it goes quick. So
right, and you
I found myself doing a lot of things that I didn't want to do, just to keep the dream alive.
Right, but doing things that you probably, you know, at least didn't mind doing. I mean, you've worked opposite some of the most beautiful women in the world. So, like Mila and Pam Anderson, and then the entire Charmed crew. So, what when you got to Charmed, what happened? Like it was just you're back auditioning, you've recommitted, and then bam, this huge show comes on.
Amazing. So I signed a contract with Another World for 5 years, and after 6 months, they let me go. And again, I'm struck with this: life is over. You know, what am I gonna do? Go get a construction job again? Like, this isn't cutting it. And I was really ready to go back to college, and you know, I had a newborn baby and a child, and I was ready to, you know, make the right decision as far as, you know, a secure life. And this audition for Charm came up, and the funny story is I had met Aaron Spelling 5 times and been in the final room with him, and my decision was to walk in and say, "Hello, Mr. Spelling, it's nice to see you again," hoping this would prompt his memory of me. So I do this, and he says, "Oh, Brian, nice to meet you." So I instantly have rage. Yeah, like, you know, my life, construction, no money, my wife, like, I'm just, and I give this reading that, for people that don't know, I went in and it all happened in one day. I went in the morning, they brought me back, they had me come back later in the day. It was like a whole day thing. And it was this really nice, sweet audition, really innocent, whatever. And then when he said that to me, I said, "Fuck this shit." Like, screw this industry, screw everything else. It affirmed my thoughts from years ago. I'm over it. And they were like, "Are you ready? You have any questions?" And I'm like, "No, I'm ready. Let's go." And they were like, "Oh." I'm like, "No, let's do it. You ready?" And all of a sudden, I just got aggressive, and I laid it down all like mean. It's nothing I had done all day. And I said, "Okay, great. Anything else?" They're like, "No." I said, "Okay, great. Nice to see you. See you later." And I walked out. And I got a call a half hour later. "You got it." And I'm just like, what?
Why didn't I turn into an a-hole a long time ago? Why didn't I just become a prick earlier? Why was I being
really
so
messed with
nice
my whole
all these
audition
years?
process. Like,
Yeah.
I have no idea how to audition anymore.
Well,
Join the crowd.
Yeah, right?
Yes. I mean, I don't know if I'm supposed to go in off book, on book, improvise. I don't know. I don't know how to do it.
yeah, it seems
It's really
like
the most difficult thing, especially now in these days and age of self-tape, is it not?
Oh, and I hate this. The self-tape is awful. I mean, the only advantage to self-tape is that you can pick the take, but that's it. I'm sure that once you send in that self-tape, it goes up on a big TV screen, and it's the size of a postage stamp, and there's 50 people up there, and they put you on for 2 seconds and go, no, no, maybe, no, no.
Right, it's become like Tinder for them.
Yes.
They just swipe.
Yes, exactly. Like Tinder.
I mean, there was something to going in and winning the room.
Exactly.
You know, actually being in person and actually bringing your energy when you open the door, being like, "Hello!" Win the room.
Yes, exactly.
And this doesn't exist anymore.
No,
well, the
it's
thing
over.
is, you're not really allowed to be that friendly anymore because you don't want to, you don't want to say the wrong thing. So maybe it's better. Not until you're a series regular can you
Maybe.
actually relax. But I totally can relate to that. And also, as a director, I always wanted to meet people, and now it's definitely more. You look at all the self tapes, and maybe you'll meet 2 or 3 people that from the tapes, because the auditioning thing has changed so much. But
Yeah.
most of the cast, like for example, when I ever cast Bobby Carradine, or I got the pleasure of casting Brian Krause once, I basically call up you guys and beg you to be in my films. So, and I've done a bunch of auditioning in the last couple of years, and I maybe one. I mean, any job I get, it's always from somebody who knew me already.
Yes.
It seems to have changed a bit. But let's run this little clip from Expecting Amish, which has become, in many
Oh my
ways,
God.
thanks to you. You can laugh all you want, but people love this movie. And we had an amazing cast. And here's a moment to
that time now
tribute
for this
the
couple
late
next to
great
me?
Ron Ely,
It's
who
time
was
for them to make
Oh,
that
wow.
transition.
he was
from
TV's
child.
Tarzan when I was a kid,
That's
and
him.
so honored to work with that great
Sure.
man.
It is time for them to make a lifelong.
And there's AJ and Mishalka from AJ and Allie, the Disney kids.
Are you ready
Yeah,
to make that?
man,
commitment?
the Disney lot, Bobby. You've been on this lot.
I've been on this
Respect
lot.
is gained
Are you-
when trust is
Are you gonna
earned.
shove the beard I grew or what?
Yeah, Brian, we only had like 2 weeks, but Brian Krause is such a macho man that he grew this incredible Amish beard just in 2 weeks.
It's your
Here it
place.
is.
Yeah. You're
He
welcome.
grew,
I hope you remember that.
amazing. Amazing.
Breaking my daughter's heart. This is the story of my life.
As these
Yeah.
young people venture off into the world.
Yeah, but
Who's gonna-
yeah. Hey, I mean, again for the great Ron Ely, what an amazing guy. And that's one of the fun things about this business, Brian. I'm sure you've appreciated as well, is that you know, we're in a business. All of us that are in this business, you know, blessed to have acting, directing, writing careers in different times and different moments. We get to meet so many of our heroes, and most of the time, it's great. Like when going back to Amish, or even when I met Bobby. I met Bobby on a movie called Supercross, and he was basically one of the major inspirations for me to start my career. You know, having made my first movie that I directed, ripping off his film, but really inspired by that whole thing that nerds are cool. And as a
Nerds
little
are cool.
kid, on Expecting Amish, I couldn't believe it when my casting director brought me Ron Ely's photo to be that character. And I was like, it's frickin' Tarzan. When I was a kid, he was Tarzan. I was like, will he do this movie? And they're like, yeah, he'll come meet you. And he came and met me, and I was like, and he's, God rest his soul, he was like 6'5", whatever, these piercing blue eyes, I was like, do you want to be in my movie? He's like, yeah. He goes, I'm kind of coming out of retirement. I think this is a sweet script. He liked the wholesomeness of it, the sort of family element, just everything about it. He goes, my agent got me to read it. He goes, yeah, I would like to do this film. And I said, well, I know we don't have a lot of cash. It's an independent film that's going to end up going to television. He goes, well, I don't need the money. But I decided I'd come out of retirement if you wanted me to be in this film. And sure enough, there we were all together. And then he wasn't a kid. That opening scene that at the Disney Ranch out there, that pond, it's like freaking quicksand. So like as we were shooting that like baptism scene, like in between each take, we had to like get everybody's legs out of the mud and step them back up a little bit higher. But he was not. I was like, Ron, are you okay? He goes, yeah, I'm fine. Like that guy was still freaking Tarzan, well into his 70s. Stud.
Full on stud.
Total stud. So listen, you can be candid. What was it like working on a 15-day independent movie with that glued on beard?
Well, you did such a wonderful job, and it actually looks fantastic. The story was amazing. It's such a quick shoot. Coming from different movies, it used to be 3 months, then it became 2, then it became 6 weeks, and now I've made movies in less time, which is always such a miracle that. To produce and direct and turn it around. It's one thing for an actor to learn 10 pages of dialogue in a day. It's another thing as a director and a producer to be able to shoot what you need in that short amount of time. We can show up to set and do it, but can you light it? Can you move it? Can you capture what you need to make this a movie?
Yeah, and
This is the difficult part, and you did it very well.
thank you. That was thanks to the amazing crew, Katie Boyum and Jeff Murphy and Scott Peck, the cinematographer, all my production crew on that. But I'll tell an amazing story that you might not even know about Amish. is, we were on a very limited budget, but we managed to be on that Disney ranch for, I think, 3 or 4 days. And when we went to scout, we saw this house, and it was ended up being your family home in the movie. And I was like, oh my gosh, it's absolutely perfect. It was very austere and very, just perfect, because the Amish aren't into colors and all that sort of stuff. And the week before, we're doing the tech scout, and we walk into the house, and there's like plaid wallpaper and great colors all over the interior of the house. And I was like, oh man. And the woman is like, well, we're letting you guys in here for 3 days at a low rate, but this is the Justified house. This isn't, this is Justified. They're like, so if you change anything, you got to change it back. And I'm like, I literally almost wet myself. I was like, like every cent of my art budget is just that we're here for 3 days, And I got 1 horse and 1 carriage, And I was like, oh, yeah. I go on the IMDb and I look up Justified, and like, what are the odds? The production designer is my great friend and the brilliantly talented Dave Blass. So I call up my friend. I was like, hey, Dave, we haven't spoken in a little while. And like, I met Dave back at Corman in the Roger Corman days where I met my wife, and so much of this started for me. I said, I'm shooting a movie in 3 days in the Justified house. He goes, what, you don't like the wallpaper? I was like, it's an Amish movie. It's Amish. He goes, oh, you want it to be back the way it was? He's like, no problem. My guys will be there at 2 a.m. And
wow.
You meet very few like actual solid citizens in this business. Like he just, like the hand of God blessed me. He's like, yeah, I'll take care of it. And I go, but they told me I have to put it back. He's like, oh yeah, I'm going to put it back.
Wow.
He goes, I'll come by when you're shooting, have lunch. And by the way, so the house looked perfect. He took all that stuff down. I hope he doesn't get in trouble for this from his Justified producers. Although he's done like 10.
This show's over.
He's done 10 other hit shows since then. He designed The Boys. He designed Preacher. I mean, the guy's like, he's legit. And Bobby, in case you didn't know, he was shooting Preacher. This guy, Dave Blass. This is my shout out to you. We were on the set of. We went to do Justice, the Western, where Bobby and I reconnected. And we're touring the Western town out there in Santa Fe, the whatchamacallit ranch. And they were doing Preacher, and I was like, oh, hey, Dave, how's it going? It's great to see you, blah. Anyway, at the same time, our producer hadn't realized that when you rent the town, it's just a town. Like, there's no hitching posts. There's no bottles in the bar. There's no troughs. Right. It's just like an empty town. There isn't even a sign above the saloon that says saloon. Right? And I was like, whoa. I was like, is lightning going to strike twice here? And I was like, Dave, and literally he read my mind. He goes, I can wrap this stuff out in a week if you need. And I said, I accept you as my personal savior, my personal cinematic savior. He literally left all that stuff. So Brian, the film we did together, the Dave Blass production designer, there are some amazing, and it didn't hurt them any to wrap out a week later. It's not like it cost, the rentals were out and everything, but there are some great people out there besides Robert Carradine and Brian Krause. And I'm a big fan of another movie you did with a friend of ours, Drew Grabretzky, Be Afraid. Do we have anything from that movie?
Yeah, same Katie Boyum on that one as well.
Yeah, Katie Boyum and Scott Peck and my buddy Jeff Murphy. Yeah. I don't know, but that is a really tight little movie. Really well done. And you are one of those guys who is freaking great in everything. And what's interesting is I read Roger Corman's book, because I started out, I was an actor in a bunch of Roger Corman movies, and I directed one movie that he was a producer on called Vice Girls. But the punchline is, I read his book, and his book is How I Made a Million Movies in Hollywood and Never Lost a Dime, or something like that. And
100 movies.
100 movies.
Never lost a dime.
But he was a genius, and he's worthy of all that actors. But I was all the acclaim and the Oscar he was given. But I'm reading his book, and he's like, in 1975 we spent $750,000 when the studios were spending $5 million. But I'm like, yeah, but like in 2022, they want us to spend $80,000. And they want a better movie, and you better have names. And it's not $80,000, but if you're spending $400,000 or $500,000 today, you better have some real star names in your movie.
Well, that takes care of my
Which
salary.
is-
What are you going to make the movie with?
Hey, Brian, are you available? Because Bobby's obviously getting really too big for his britches right now. Right
Listen,
right on
I'm
his
a
own
little
show.
less than he is, but I'm taking the rest of the budget. I mean, maybe this has gotten easier because the change of the camera, right?
Right.
You're no longer on film. You could roll as much as you want with the digital camera. Maybe this helps a little bit.
The good news is now anybody can make a movie in 4K. And the bad news is anyone can make a movie in 4K.
Yeah.
And the bad news is
Right.
anyone can get worldwide distribution on YouTube, and good news is they can get that
But-
distribution. But it doesn't
Richard,
necessarily
as you
mean money.
know, I've made a lot of movies, and 85% of them I don't talk about. They're not to discount what I've been a part of or who's made them or whatever, but so often people rush to finish their movie before they're ready. The script isn't ready. They don't have their production team ready. They don't have their sets together. They rush into production. As soon as you get a little money to shoot, let's shoot. And they're not quite ready. And so they haven't succeeded as much as their hope or, the idea or their cast or whatever, but they're just not quite ready. And the one thing I tell young filmmakers today is make sure your script is where you want it to be. And then you have something that, listen, if you're making your movie in 10 days, your pre-production has also been shortened by months. And this is where so much of it falls apart. And being in so many indies that don't really have the success, I think it's because they didn't do enough prep work before they rolled the camera the first time. And it falls apart before they even get to the set. Agree or disagree?
100%. The prep is everything. The less shooting days you have, the more prep you need to have done. And you can't also discount the basics. Like location is everything. Casting is everything. There's no good movies with bad acting, but there are watchable movies with good acting and maybe not the best script. But the location is just everything. I always say, and actually something that Roger Corman said to a lot of directors, like, if you're shooting in a room and there's a door, open the door. Let there be depth. The basic things that
Right.
the biggest possible location. But prep is everything. And we were chatting the other day about being a parent, and like my son who's 18 is now a young filmmaker, and he's writing a feature script and he's all excited. I was like, no, take months and do all your rewrites. Practice shooting a couple of scenes and make sure the locations are the best they can be, and the casting the best it can be. Because, if I could go back as a filmmaker, there's so many things I would do differently, and many things I would do differently if somebody told me, give that script at least another few weeks, like let it simmer, rewrite. Don't get so excited because you have enough pages and you have the money.
I had a moment
Right.
where I thought I was going to get to direct a movie. And I thought, well, I'll call Ed Zwick because he never called me after I starred in his AFI movie. I should just call him. So I called him up and I said, Ed, it's Bobby. I'm thinking about directing a film. I've got a good script and I'm almost ready to go. You got any advice? He says, yeah. Make your cuts before you shoot. That's great advice.
Oh
You
yeah,
don't wanna
yeah. I
shoot a
always
bunch
tell
of-
people that.
You shoot a bunch of stuff that you're never going to see. You've wasted the time. You've wasted the supplies. I mean, yeah, make your cuts before you start.
100%. Like when people, and I'm in a position where I have gotten, thank God, a lot of movies made, but I can't just push a button and a movie gets made. If somebody sends me a script, they say, will you read my script and maybe give me some notes? If they send me 125 pages, I'm like, well,
Note number one.
when it gets down to like 108, send it back to me and I'll tell you where the next 10 pages that need to get cut. Unless you have, unless you're making one of these giant movies that go on for 2.5 hours that are these big studio movies. If you're talking about making a little independent film in 12 or 15 days, don't send me 125 pages. I mean, you know,
with 40 locations.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, think this through. Hey,
Yeah.
and Brian, I know that we're kind of keeping you up in the middle of the night on the other side of the world, and
No, this is great. I could talk to you guys forever, especially talk about filmmaking. You're two seasoned professionals that know, I mean, all of it.
Takes
I
one to
have
know
so
one.
much to learn from both of you.
takes one to know one. I hope that we are all together. That's going to be the theme of the Revenge of the Party Nerds podcast.
Right, that we know.
Podcast.
I have a question.
No, that we all get
Bobby.
together.
So,
Go ahead.
So, as an actor, not only just as a director, knowing your cut, because you spend less time on a location, you're not shooting the wide shot, trying to get the perfect master, whatever it is. Like, okay, I'm in and I'm out. Let me get the beginning and the end of this scene. But as an actor, is it beneficial to know a piece of the cut as well, so to know where you need to focus your energy?
Well, I like to do what you just said, which is shoot the beginning and the end of the master. In other words, cut in the camera and then go in for the tighter stuff. So yeah, you can really focus without using up whatever you've planned to bring to the table that day in a master shot.
Yeah. And I'll tell you,
As an actor as well, like don't dump it all out on the big wide or whatever.
Right.
one of the things I try to do when I go on somebody's set as an actor is I do my best to forget that I'm a director because I want to learn and I want to see what are they doing, you know? I just want to make sure I know my lines, hit my marks without looking down at my feet and do my job because it's really fun to pick up, like, you know, we're talking about the movie we were just on where, you know, it's 10 days and there's stunts and there's blood and there's all kinds of stuff. And I'm just like, you know, I in between takes, I might be thinking, well, I wonder why he didn't do that. But, you know, I'm looking forward to seeing the movie because, you know, he's, you know, Tom Churchill, who directed this film, has done it a bunch of times, so he knows what he wants to do. I can't wait to see his movie.
I mean, you want to talk about cutting in the can. This is your man.
I don't know. I know he got a good amount of stuff.
But I mean, he didn't shoot stuff he didn't need. Like there wasn't. I can't remember being in a master.
Yeah, no, there.
Wow.
Bob, just because you can't remember it
he
doesn't
knows
mean it
his
didn't
ins and
happen.
outs,
Let's
right.
stop right there. Just
Walk
because
through
he
the
doesn't
door, go.
remember it, it doesn't mean it didn't happen.
There was a door and I opened it.
Someone was in the saloon.
How'd you know?
You know, you said he left it hanging up there.
Yeah, man.
No, but that's really smart. You know, I think it's, if you have it cut in your head, you have your vision, and especially 10, 12, 15 days, like, as I was talking before, not ready, we did this sci-fi movie, and we spent all night, this guy trying to get this master of, you know, the army marches in, he's got this big old crane, it's got to pull back, the Jeep has to turn left, these guys got to march through, and then and then it's just us doing this scene, which you know you're going to cut into to get our dialogue, but then he also wants us exiting. And it was one of these things like, okay, have us enter, you could cut 3 minutes out of this and go find your marks, and then let's just pick up the end of it. But
For sure.
we spent all night running through the entire scene, and because he didn't get it all the way through, 3 minutes perfectly, we kept doing it over and over. And we spent the whole night doing it. And then when he finally went to push in and get the coverage of the story, we had an hour left to shoot. And we had to turn around and be real quick. And
Man.
it was over. It was too late.
But you're definitely-
We spent all our time getting this.
But
Oh yeah, that's such a great story about that.
And the entire cast is ready when they do the stage play and they take it on the road because you're well rehearsed.
Right.
When it opens on Broadway, you guys are ready.
Oh, yeah. Well, it might be a little off, but we're ready.
Yeah, cue the Jeep.
Yeah, cue the Jeep.
So do you have anything on the slate next, or did you just finish anything that was fun?
I just had a little movie come out, Die Hard 3.
All right.
I got a 10, 15 minutes in a Kevin Hart movie, doing something, I've never done before. They've never let me do is kind of go down the comedy route. Really proud of it. I hope it's been received well, and maybe leads to more of that, because I really love having fun in that arena and being able to just take chances, take risk, and put a little egg on my face. I think it feels comfortable.
All right.
You know what? We're actually sick and tired of you being the handsome, good-looking hero. So
Serious
very
hero.
looking forward to seeing you with some egg on your face. But
Well, this one, I'm a former police consultant to the movies, who Kevin Hart goes to find some direction to help get out of his sticky situation. And I've now live in a storage unit and might be a meth addict, and I'm a bit of a mess in this one. Yeah.
Oh,
Nice.
that's a great setup.
that's a great setup.
Yeah.
That'll be one they talk about. I'm looking forward to seeing that.
Yeah,
So
thanks.
maybe on that note, in spite of your hospitality, I'm starting to feel guilty, so I will let you go to bed. And we'll do this again, but hopefully we'll see each other in town on the same time zone, over some sushi.
Yeah, Brian, come on,
Yeah.
man, let's party, dude.
Dude, I would love it, bro. Love you guys so much. I'm a fan of both of you, and you both inspire me. And let's keep going. Let's make some more stuff.
We
and,
are.
and
We're
maybe
gonna.
not 10 days if
Yeah.
it has to be. Okay, but
Yeah, we'll go for 2 weeks.
And my new thought also,
yeah,
as we're talking,
yeah, 2 weeks. Sounds
no, as
better.
we're talking about these lower budgets and the advantages of these phones, and is that we will figure it out and take as long as we want to do our best work and not need to spend too much money and just make something epic. That'll be the plan.
It's all possible.
It is.
Richard and I, to close this thing, we just worked on a movie together. It shot over 6 months, a day at a time, for a total of 10 days.
That is right. Our dear
What?
friend.
Over
Yeah,
6
we
months?
Did. We
yeah,
did.
we just shot when the director had the money.
The director, the star
Director,
writer,
producer,
director,
star, yeah, that
one of
guy.
our best pals, the extremely talented Ben Sullenberger, who we need to get on this couch at some
Absolutely.
point.
Oh, yeah. This
Yeah, he
guy-
directed.
Wow,
he,
that's
he wrote,
impressive.
and he like one weekend at a time, he put together an all-star cast. So we will wait for the Cowboy Killer to come out probably
man.
next year.
Okay.
That's really impressive, and he was able to pull a crew together each time.
And not
or-
only that,
That's-
thankfully all the actors stayed alive and stayed out of jail for 6 months. So he's like,
I don't know which part's more impressive.
That's why, in addition to all the obvious, that's why I'm so grateful that I've been married for 25 years, because it's kept me out of jail. It's kept me basically well fed and fairly well slept while I'm in town. And let's hope for more of the same. Thank you, Brian Krause.
Yeah, man. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, bye. Thank you, Bobby. You guys are amazing. Love you both,
Yeah,
and I hope to see you really soon.
yeah,
Okay,
man.
man.
And we will once again come to you from an absolutely top secret hidden location, high in the Hollywood
Hollywood
Hills, on the Revenge of the Party Nerds podcast. Thanks for joining us.